Hey, gals and guys, it's Christopher Mosier, and I am an alcoholic. And this one is was kind of difficult for me to get into. That's why I kind of put it off as far as posting videos on my DUI, which I got back in 2018. But it's something I did want to talk to you about. Kind of give you some ideas of what to expect if you happen to get arrested for DUI or DWI. Or if you have been and you just want to hear someone else's experience, whatever the case may be, hopefully this is a deterrent for people that do partake in the alcoholic beverage. Um, they can, even if you're an alcoholic, think about the driving factor and not to do it. It's probably one of the most irresponsible and stupid things a person can do. You're putting other people's lives in danger, up to the possibility of death. And that's a very selfish thing. But we're alcoholics, we're very selfish people. We make bad decisions when we drink, and then we think we can get behind a wheel of a car, or we just don't give a shit and we get behind a wheel of a car, or we don't think about it and we get whatever the case may be. It's a very selfish, it's a very stupid thing, even if you're an alcoholic. I mean, if anyone in general, you don't have to be an alcoholic. If you drink and get behind a wheel of a car, it's just stupid and selfish and one of the dumbest things you could probably do in life. So I just want to go through my experience. So I was at work, and what I did generally at work is I did have vodka in my car, and I would go out for breaks or just go out whenever and just have a couple shots. Had a big liter of vodka out there in my car, and one night I was working and drinking, and I decided just to leave. My shift wasn't even over. Bad decision, obviously, because we make bad decisions because we're alcoholics. I just left the door open, left the safe open. I didn't have a job after that. That's a whole other story, probably. I'm not going to get into that. I've lost many jobs due to alcoholism. Um, those are other stories. I don't really want to get into those. All difficult to talk about, but important to discuss with you. So I took off and I drove home, and um, I was at a light turning left, and I didn't turn my blinker on. So, and there was a police officer. This was around, I think, like 1 o'clock. I worked very late. I'm trying to think when I get out. I got out like at midnight or 1 or something like that. I forget. It was a while ago. It was 2018, so we're talking 9 years ago. So some of the details are going to be a little sketchy because it was a while ago. So I didn't turn my light on, my blinker on to take a left. I just took the left, and a couple blocks later, I see lights in the back of my mirror, and oh shit, I knew um, what was going to happen. There was no record. There was nothing that went through my mind thinking that I was going to get out of this. I knew what was going to happen. So I was only a block from my home, probably a minute from where I needed to be. So, anyways, where they come to your door, the cop gets out of their car, they come to your door. Where are you coming from? And you try to say the best you can. Not only are you nervous because you got pulled over, but you've been drinking. And the best I could, I said from work, and it's apparent what's going on. I mean, I've got a bottle of vodka on the passenger seat floor, and I'm not, making too much sense talking wise. So another officer came. There was two squad cars, and they did the sobriety tests. You did the walking. You did the count do the alphabet backwards, which I failed miserably on all sobriety tests, and then you're under arrest for DWI, and you get handcuffed and put in the back of a squad car. And you went down to one of the satellite offices. You get booked, you get photographed, you get fingerprinted, you get asked a bunch of questions. They were very nice. I wanted to stand and walk around. They said that's fine. I was being very cooperative. Um, I didn't try to deny anything. I know what was happening, and I've seen enough of Cops and other shows to. I mean, I was drunk, but I was smart enough to know what was going on, and I do recall everything that was going on. So once you're booked and everything, then the ambulance comes, and then I went to a local hospital. I hung out in a gurney out in the hallway because it was super booked. They had a lot of people there, and I wasn't arrested. Well, I mean, I was arrested. I wasn't put in jail, is what I meant. And I had to stay there on the gurney until my sobriety test came back positive. So it was many hours before I could go. And obviously, they towed my car to a lot. Um, so I had to call my buddy once I was okayed to go, and he picked me up. And I should talk about him. I should do another video about him and someone that is always there whenever I needed him. Is my buddy. No matter what trouble I got into, he was always there. So he dropped me off. I had him drop me off at Walmart, got some cigars, and then I went across the street and got some alcohol and walked back. It was all in walking distance where he dropped me off. Walked back and just drank because I was ashamed and uh, frustrated, and I just felt life sucked. Obviously, the DUI, DWI is not that you think you wouldn't want to drink after that, but I went home and drank, and then I think it was a day or two later, went and picked up my car. And so obviously you do have to go to court, and I had to get a lawyer. So in hindsight, if I was to give advice, especially if you didn't make a lot of money, which I didn't make a lot of money at the time. I don't make a lot of money now. Uh, I would have got a court-ordered attorney, a public defender. Instead, I got a. We saw them on the commercials on the TV, the DUI or the DWI lawyers, and they were very expensive. And I cashed in a insurance policy. And if I do recall, the insurance policy was like 14,000, I think, or 12,000 or something like that. I think they cost 5 or 6 grand or something like that. I could be off on my numbers. Like I said, it was like 9 years ago. And then you have to pay court fees, and then you have to pay a fine. So I pretty much ate that insurance policy, which I could have used. I could have went on vacation or did something else, put a down payment on a house, bought a car, whatever the case may be. But yeah, if you want to eat a lot of money, if you want to waste a lot of money, this isn't about money. It's your first focus is on you could go out and kill somebody. That should be your first focus and thoughts. But yeah, if you want to empty your bank account and hire a lawyer for DUI, DWI, then certainly go get one, but don't go get one, obviously. All right, I just want to go over some things. What was court ordered when I went to court? So I had to get an ignition interlock device. So that's installed in your car. So you have to breathe into this apparatus before your car will start. An ignition interlock device, an IID, often referred to as a car breathalyzer, is a device used to prevent drunk driving by requiring a driver to provide a breath sample before the vehicle will start. If the device detects alcohol in the driver's breath, the vehicle will not start. IIDs are often mandated by court as part of DUI driving under influence and DWI driving while intoxicated sentencing. And I should mention, I got a DWI, but it was reduced to a DUI. So it was my first offense. I've never been in trouble. I've never been arrested for anything. So that's a misdemeanor. So I had this device on my car. It's very sensitive. So if you drink the night before, which I did, and you get into your car and you breathe, it will pick it up, most likely. And then each month you have to go to the service station, and they take the analysis of that month, and they present it to the court. So if they see that your interlock device went off and the car didn't start, you're back in court, and they want to know why. So that happened to me twice, and the court. I think the first time they extended the interlock device, and the second time they kind of let it go, and I kind of said I'm not sure why it went off. I fibbed, um, but I drank the night before, and that's why the car wouldn't start the next day. Mouthwash. If there's alcohol in mouthwash, I had. So the second time that it went off, you get something in the mail with a court date because you have to go back to court. And I just ignored the court date. I was so sick of it at this point. I'd been to court enough times. And then you get a bench warrant for your arrest. So I did skip the second time around when it went off. I skipped the court date. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. That's the point where I was. And so there was a bench warrant for my arrest. I turned myself in. They arrested me. I didn't go to jail or anything. They just set another court date for me, and then I went. As long as I went, I was fine. And then I did get a public defender the second time around when that went off, because I didn't have any money. My insurance policy was gone. I couldn't afford a high-priced lawyer. I didn't make that much money. I had a job at the time, got a new job at the time, and I wasn't making that much money. And so I was allowed a public defender. And advice to you, they're just as good as a high-priced lawyer. She was great. She didn't do anything different than a high-priced lawyer did. So, but I didn't know that. I was stupid. I never was arrested before. So, so that's the interlock device. I think it was 6 months, and they extended it a couple months or something to that effect because I blew into it and it went off, and the car wouldn't start. So eventually it came off. And I must mention also, it's like $300 or $200 each time you have to go to the service station to get it read. You have to pay for that. So I think it was $200 or $300 each time you have to go. So yeah, that eats out of your bank account. So it's a lot of money. The fine, we'll talk about the fine in a minute. You have to go to driving school if you're driving under an influence. So that was 6 Saturdays, and I think it was 3 hours, if I'm not mistaken, in the morning. So if you want to waste for 6 weeks, if you want to go, and there's workbook that you fill out and questions about DUI, DWI, and there's assignments. There's work assignments you have to do and bring in. Like there's a collage you had to do of, no, it was, you had to go into magazines and look for alcohol ads and bring them in and discuss the ad and its message and everything. That was one of the assignments. You have to watch videos, obviously accidents and stuff like that. Stuff you don't want to watch. It's not a fun experience. It's not something I would recommend. You have to pay for that. I think that was $200 or $300 for a 6-week class. So I'm in Greece. So in Greece, New York, and generally in New York, DUI or DWI classes are often referred to as DUI, DWI program of alcohol awareness classes. These programs are court-ordered or DMV mandated for individuals convicted of alcohol-related driving offenses. They aim to educate participants about the dangers of impaired driving and promote safer driving habits. So I had to go to that. I had to go to that twice. Did I have to pay for it twice? I'm trying to think why I had to go to it twice, but for some reason, I think because I had to. All right, let's go to this next thing. So court-ordered rehab. I think I didn't complete my rehab. I forget exactly why I had to go twice, but I had to go twice. So you don't necessarily have to go twice. It totally escapes me to why I had to go again. I think it's because I didn't complete my rehab. So you're also court-ordered rehab. Describes drug and alcohol addiction treatment that is ordered as an alternative to incarceration. This allows individuals to get help they need for substance use disorder while still under court supervision. So that was, I think, like 6 months or over. So you have to go to rehab, you go to individual, you go to group, and then you branch off. Once you graduate, that's like level 1, and then there's like a level 2. This is just in my area. It could be different in your area. There's a level 2, and those are specific groups. So mine was like anger management or something like that. Not that I'm an angry person. This is me right here. This is how I normally am. I'm not an angry person, but I forget what the course was. I think it was something anger management or something. You can pick what you want, what you think is interesting. I don't know. I just probably just thought it was interesting to go to. There were some cat fights in there. So the first group meetings were all guys. And that lasted for a few months. And then when you went into the individual groups, like the anger management groups or something to that effect, then it was a mixed bag of females and males. And the females were vicious. They would go after each other. There's cat fights, not physical fights, but yelling and you bitch. It was entertaining. I don't know. Anyways, so you graduate from that and you get I got a certificate, and they write something to the court saying you graduated the class, and then that satisfies the court. A victim impact panel you have to go to. So a victim impact panel is in the context of DUI is a program where victims of drunk driving incidents share their stories with those convicted of DUIs. The goal is to educate offenders about the real-life consequences of impaired driving, helping them understand the emotional, physical, and financial devastation it can cause. And they really do not like you. They lost their loved ones to drunk drivers, and I think it was like an hour, 2 hours. I went to a local college in the auditorium, filled with people. A lot of dumbasses out there who drank and drove. So yeah, it's not something it's not a fun time. You don't really want to go to. And these poor people lost their loved ones, and they're not particularly happy with you, which rightfully so. And they're not attacking you individually. They're just speaking their mind and what they had to go through, and they don't have their loved one around anymore. So just think of that as far as you're concerned. If you didn't have your wife or your children or anybody, your best friend around anymore due to a dumbass who got behind the wheel of a car and drove. So you'll have to go to that. Fines. I paid, if I do recall, I think 1,000 or 1,200. It says 500 to 100 here. I think it was 1,000 for a fine, and then 200 and something for court fees, if I do recall. So that comes out of this all adds up. If you want to get rid of money quickly, certainly go get a DUI. Obviously, don't go do that. So that's it, guys and gals. That's as far as what you have to go through to satisfy the court and not have to go to court anymore. And eventually, I haven't been since this happened in 2018. September of 2018 is when I was arrested. Then it went to, I think, May of 2019 or something like that. But again, I was a dumbass. I blew into that breathalyzer device, the interlock device, twice, and my car didn't start. So each time it doesn't start, once you go to the service station, they take the readings, they give it to the court. The court writes you a nice little letter, sends you a nice little letter saying, come to court and explain why this happened. And even if you drank the night before, if there's still alcohol in your system, or even if you feel perfectly fine, perfectly sober, it can still read it. It reads mouthwash. Anything with alcohol in it. I'm assuming cough medicine. There's alcohol in some cough medicines. So just you have to be mindful of that moving forward when you get that in your car. I'm editing this as I go, so a couple things I want to specify. When you go to the lot to pick up your car, you do have to pay for that tow and for them to have it in the lot. So I'm thinking that was like $100, couple $100, maybe something like that. Maybe not that much. I would say around $100. Expect to pick up your car. And then as far as the interlock, I specified that if you do breathe into it and it does pick up the alcohol, your car will not start. I should be specific to the fact that if you wait an hour or two, you've got to wait until the alcohol is out of your system. Eventually, you go to the car, you breathe into it. If it goes green instead of red, red is it picks up alcohol, green it doesn't. The car starts. So it's not like I didn't have a car for this amount of time. It's just if it detects it in your system, if it picks it up, the car won't start until that's out of your system, and then the car will start. So I should have specified that more, but luckily I'm editing as I go, so I can shoot that out to you to let you know. All right, gals and guys, that's it for this time out. A little long-winded on this one, I do believe, but I wanted to get that information out to you, and hopefully this is a deterrent. Hopefully this is information you don't, until it happens, you probably don't. You're probably not looking up information on DUI until it happens to you, and unfortunately, that's the way it works, or that seems to be human nature as far as that's concerned. But that's my experiences through that, and yeah, just even if you're an alcoholic, put the keys away, lock them away. I don't know what you do with them. Just don't make a decision, make a conscious decision before you pick up a bottle. You shouldn't be picking up a bottle in the first place, to be clear. But I know how that works, and that's always easier said than done. And just don't drink and drive. I'll reiterate the fact that you're going to kill somebody. And if you don't kill somebody, maybe you'll maim them and injure them to the effect that paralyze them or due to something where it's permanent throughout their lives. You're doing that to another human being. You certainly don't want to do that. Financially, you don't want to do that to yourself. If you do kill someone, you go to jail. You might as well just write your life off, as far as that's a big chunk of your life in jail. And, you can restart your life, but Jesus Christ, that's huge. That's huge. That's something really to consider. So that's why I don't do that stupid shit anymore, even when I do drink, which is stupid shit in itself. But at least that's one less stupid shit thing I do. All right, gals and guys, I have talked enough. I will catch you later. Peace.